We're going to take the North and never give it back.
So that's a good pick. You get the corner. I got to go bold, right? I got to go bold for this.
Yeah, she's got some nice long
Welcome back to the Unbearable Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Brad. Make sure to like and subscribe if you're out there on YouTube, and also rate that show 5 stars everywhere that you get your podcast. Just simply download the podcast by searching for Unbearable Sports. What's going on, Bears fans? Today, we have, it's more of the bad news day today. Bad news Bears for today, but we'll discuss it all. Lots of news with Micah Parsons, some of the injury updates with Austin Booker, Jaquan Brisker, Jalen Johnson, you name it. It just seems like we have a million injuries out there. But then also just talking about various potential free agents. Can the Bears do anything with any sort of free agents? And then also too, just updating you on just some of the stuff that went on with the practice, and also what is the current state of that 53-man roster. So what's up, everybody? I got a poll out there for the people watching live. How do you feel? How are we feeling, Bears fans? Are we nervous after the whole Micah Parsons trade? Are we scared about the Micah Parsons trade? Let's get this going, right? Because we see the notifications, and it was kind of crazy for me because my wife was over. She coaches, so she's out coaching. I got all 4 kids with me, and instantly, my the 2-month-old starts crying. There's a poopy diaper in the house. There's all this craziness, and the Micah Parsons news drops. So my phone is blowing up with texts from friends, just like, "Hey, what do you think? What do you think?" And we're just talking. And as many of you know, I live in Wisconsin, so a lot of my friends are Packer fans, and my gosh. It's been crazy today. But yeah, Micah Parsons traded for 2 first-round draft picks and also Kenny Clark. Now, first off, I just want to, usually if this was a normal deal, we would not be talking about this, but since this impacts the Packers, we have to talk about this. Now, first off, when I saw that deal, I thought that it was a pretty good deal for the Packers because you're talking about Micah Parsons. Like when you look at the trade itself, 2 first-rounders, and Kenny Clark, who honestly, Kenny Clark has not been great. Kenny Clark has really kind of been on the decline. He's 30 years old, and he has this $20+ million cap hit. So for the Packers, I thought that it was a pretty solid trade when you're just looking at the trade up front. And you're getting Micah Parsons, who we saw this, and I'll admit this, like when you get a superstar, they change the way that your team plays, because look at the Dallas Cowboys right now and who they have on that defense. That defense has been good, but that's because of Micah Parsons. And yes, they have Diggs and others, but I'm curious to see how they act without a Micah Parsons out there, because Micah Parsons is just absolutely phenomenal. So for me, the big thing with this is they got their superstar. They traded away the draft picks. And when you look at it that way, I think it's a very easy win. But this is something that we've talked about on the show before, is that like another reason why I was a little bit more negative than the consensus on the Montez Sweat trade was because you're not only trading for that player, but you're also signing that next deal. And the big thing with the Packers is that they just signed Micah Parsons to a $47 million contract, which when we were discussing the Micah Parsons thing, that was the biggest thing that kind of scared me away. Now, short term, they're going to be a force to be reckoned with. And it all depends on how Jordan Love comes back. I still am more negative on Jordan Love, or positive from a Bears perspective, but I still I'm not fully convinced that Jordan Love is actually the guy. And that's where like you feel good about it, because when the Bears traded for Khalil Mack, Mitch Trubisky was on a rookie deal, and also, ultimately Mitch Trubisky was not the guy, and then it caused us to eventually get rid of Khalil Mack. With Micah Parsons, I feel like with Parsons, though, they have a little bit more in place, but $47 million is a lot. And the whole premium piece that they're going to be paying, you could get a lot of players for that. So to me, I really want to see, I think short term it'll be good for the Packers, but long term, I think that there's going to be some damage that is done out there, because $47 million is a crap ton. So now they're really kind of showing they're going to be built around now they're going to be built around Love, and they're going to be built around Micah Parsons. So let's see what y'all have to say out there in the comments. We got Rob. I'll be fine. They don't play the Pack until week 14. The Bears should be ready by then. And then also Bears fans for life saying, hey, Brad, bear down. Broski, what's good? To both of you guys, bear down. Broski was saying the Fudgies fleeced the Cowgirls. Let's not kid ourselves. Agreed. They only gave up 2 first-round picks, and they shed an overpriced chunky guy. Yeah, Parsons only 26. Agreed. Actually, I was talking to some people, and someone was like, oh, man, I can't believe we got rid of Kenny Clark. And I'm like, Kenny Clark isn't that good like anymore. Kenny Clark was phenomenal. He was one of the best nose tackles. Not anymore. Like, I peaked at his PFF grade. Yet again, it's just PFF grade. But yeah, it was like sub 60. But also last year, and even the year before that, Kenny Clark just did not look as dominant as he was before. But still, like, I am nervous to see what the Packers end up doing this year. But let's see. I also wanted to pull this up because I also wanted to look at where their money is going compared to us. Because the Bears, we have a rookie deal quarterback. And also there's that graphic going out there where the Bears have the least amount of dead cap. But it's still like, hey, we don't have all these superstars. We don't have all these amazing players. So where's this money going to? I just kind of wanted to show this. I'm doing yearly salary. Now I know that, it's the whatever the salary is at that year, but I just kind of want to break this down so that you can see kind of where their money is headed. Because with the Packers, when you look at their top ones, it's Jordan Love at $55 a year, Micah Parsons $47 a year, Rashawn Gary $24 a year, Zach Tom $22 a year, Aaron Banks $19 a year, which is still hysterical, Elton Jenkins $17 a year, Xavier McKinney $16.75 a year, Josh Jacobs $12, and Nate Hobbs, which also is kind of crazy, at $12 a year. So that is kind of like everyone over $10 million. Now, if we flip over to the Bears, I just wanted to show this. You have DJ Moore at 27.5, Montez at 24.5. Now, if you look at Gary and you look at Montez, you go, okay, kind of even players, if you will. Jalen at 19, still an absolute steal. Then you get to Tremaine Edmonds, 18 million, where he's been solid. He's been a starter. Joe Tooney, 17.5. Jonah frickin' Jackson at 17.5. So I can make fun of Aaron Banks. Jonah Jackson is not awful. He's not terrible, but 17.5. I still don't love for Jonah Jackson. 16 million for Dayo Adengbo, which is, we'll see what he does in this system. Still very skeptical. But then we have Grady Jarrett at 14.25. Still want to see how he kind of bounces back. Drew Dahlman, 14. Kyler Gordon, 13.3. Cole Kmet, 12. And TJ Edwards at 10. And then you get down to the very bottom. Caleb at 9. DeAndre Swift at 8. Kevin Byard at 7.5. So I wanted to just kind of like break that down because you can kind of see where the money is kind of stored in different spots. Because the Bears have a lot of people that have this kind of upper tier pay. Grady Jarrett with 14 mil. You have Jonah Jackson at 17.5, Dayo at 16. So that's kind of where some of that money's going. And the extension with DJ Moore at 27.5 is a very pretty penny for DJ Moore. Now, this is where you kind of talk about the wide receivers and what they might eventually become. But yeah, you're expecting DJ Moore to really kind of be that true number one if you're paying him that $27.5 million out there. So I just want to kind of break that down to just demonstrate where kind of this money is going to, where this money is being spread out to, just because it seemed like that was one of the big questions where it's going. And I always kind of go back to, actually, crazy enough, what the Cowboys would always do, but in this situation, not so much. I would always tip the cap to the Cowboys because it always seemed like every year they would pay their superstars, and they would actually pay their superstars, and they would be the only ones that really got the bag. Because, like I've said before, superstars are the ones that really kind of transform the team and really make your team amazing. So overall, unfortunately, they end up getting and landing Micah Parsons. Other things too. Let's see. Right. We have that's the other piece too, like what Broski said. We got Braxton Jones at left tackle. This is not great. But I think that one of the best points, though, I gotta tip my cap, to say that, hey, the Bears don't play the Packers till way late on in the season. So they'll hopefully understand where things are going and just how everything works out. And speaking of that too, because I know that I haven't done a show since the original 53-man roster. And one of the things that the Bears were asked about, Joe Thuney was asked about, and even I was going to say Matt Eberflus, Ben Johnson was asked about, was that left tackle position. And Ben Johnson said that it's not set in stone. And I think a big reason is we all know it's going to be Braxton Jones. But down the road, we want to see what eventually that turns into and how that gets transformed. And Joe Thuney was even asked, would he want to be a left tackle? And I don't love the idea of Joe Thuney being left tackle, but we've seen a lot from Newman. And Newman's been very good at the left guard. I really think he's been good. Yet again, run blocking has kind of suffered. Pass blocking has been phenomenal. He held up very well, surprisingly well against Chris Jones, for especially being like a day 3 rookie. But yeah, I still don't think that they're really going to do too much with the left tackle, but hopefully Braxton gets a little bit better and gets a little bit healthier, but throughout the season. So we'll have to see. But also talking about what is good, bear down to you as well, my friend. Let's see where we are at so far with the poll. Right now, 56% of you saying nervous, 33% saying not scared, and 11% saying scared. So let's go over to our beloved Chicago Bears, where Austin Booker, unfortunately, was placed on IR. And when we look at overall, just what has been going on with the Bears from an IR perspective, we see Austin Booker on IR. On our lads, they had Carl Jones on IR. I don't think he was actually placed on IR, but Terrell Smith on IR, Agbangbamiga on IR, Deion Hankins, Sean Wade, and also Travis Homer and Zay Frazier on the NFI list. Now, with Austin Booker, the hope is that this is more of just a short term, 4 weeks, and then he'll be back out there for our Chicago Bears. But this brings up a very good point, because if we flip over to our defensive ends, this is where it gets a little bit nerve-wracking, because this is the idea where you get a little jealous. And I know for myself, I get a little bit jealous with this as well, because, you're sitting there going, and as we flip over to the other screen, we see that they're spending $55 million on this defensive end. And we're spending $24.5 on Montez Sweat, and we're paying $16 on Dayo Adengbo. So we're spending $40 million on 2 defensive ends, and you're hoping that you get something out of them. And how confident do we feel? Not very confident. I've not seen a Bears fan yet that has gone, you know what, this defensive end group, I don't know what the whole afraidness is. I don't know why everyone's so afraid of this defensive end room, right? Because most people that I respect, that understand the game, no one, it's talk me into why Dayo Adengbo is good, right? No one really can. It's just people that are like, no. In polls we trust, right? And yeah, I agree with Talkman. He did not look good. And we'll have to see, obviously. Change it, right? Show us what you can potentially do. I know that he was one that I was I wouldn't touch with a 10-foot pole. And I know that there's other Bears, there's some people out there on Twitter that kind of showed their stuff where it was yeah, he's the classic, you're buying the potential. But when you buy potential in the draft and free agency, usually never really works out. But when we look at the defensive ends, all we have is Dominique Robinson as a backup and Daniel Hardy. Now, the expectation is that Tano Passigno is going to be elevated to the active roster on game day, but I still don't love that. Passigno is someone that, I just, yet again, don't necessarily love that. You're asking a lot of your defensive tackles. My guess is that this team is going to be blitzing a lot. You're going against a rookie quarterback in J.J. McCarthy week 1. You need to send the blitz. You need to try and attack. You need to really kind of get in the face of them, because right now you don't have the horses to really generate pressure. And that is the most unfortunate of all the stuff, because when you think about why were the Eagles so dominant, why did the New York Giants get a Super Bowl? It's the pressure. And you want a stable of pass rushers, not just one person. You want a true stable. If you are paying for one person like a Micah Parsons, then that transforms everything. We saw what Khalil Mack did. Adding Khalil Mack, then all of a sudden you saw Leonard Floyd starting to get more sacks because Khalil Mack was an absolute game wrecker. So you ideally want two on the end. Remember when we had Mack and Robert Quinn? Life was good. It felt good. When Robert Quinn was good for that 1 year, right? Life was good with multiple pass rushers. So that's the thing that when we get into this, well, can we add any other free agents? Can we add somebody that can transform this team? And when you look at the free agents, there's still Zadarius Smith, which I'm curious how much he's actually going to go for. I still am a big fan of Jadeveon Clowney. Yet again, none of these guys are going to be absolute game wreckers, but there's someone that can at least contribute for your team. Other people, I mean, you're talking about, yet again, it's like DeMarcus Walker and Preston Smith. Heck, I wouldn't mind DeMarcus Walker because, yet again, DeMarcus Walker is more of a backup. And that's the thing. That's honestly one of the reasons why I didn't like the whole DeMarcus Walker for Dayo Adengbo, essentially. DeMarcus Walker was only getting paid I think it was $6 million at that moment because he kind of had a smaller cap hit. But to me, DeMarcus Walker and Dayo are kind of the same player. But still, DeMarcus was a better defensive tackle. It's just a iffy thing. So to me, if you want someone that can actually contribute to you, this just goes down to two people, Jadeveon Clowney and Zadarius Smith. Everyone else, you're kind of hoping for something. But I think that the only other person is honestly DeMarcus Walker gives you at least plus play over a Dominique Robinson, over a Tano Passanio, and people like that. But let's see what y'all are saying out there in the comments. Rob saying, do you think Dayo was not playing hard in preseason to save himself? About it, the biggest thing is I just never even liked the signing, and I know a lot of us just never really liked the signing. And it's one of those if I'm incorrect, I would be joyous if I was incorrect on Dayo Adengbo. It's just he's just, anytime that you're trying to go for potential, it just never really seems to work, right? That's the thing that I'm so nervous about. Yeah, and then I agree with Broski. To me, my number one, actually is just number one, number two, Zadarius and Jadeveon. Those are my guys. But 100% agree. Walker, Dayo, same exact dude, same exact player. But yeah, one just makes twice the amount, or close to 3 times the amount, unfortunately. But let's get into the practice update because there's a couple little updates. Now, the Bears did not practice today. This was yesterday on August 27th. So, with Courtney Cronin reporting this out there, Jaquan Brisker and Ruben Hippolyte left early. So, from what we heard, Jaquan Brisker went down with an injury. Not sure exactly what it is, but just whenever you hear Jaquan Brisker an injury, you just don't love it. So it doesn't seem like from people were saying, I think it's not a head injury. It doesn't appear so, but also it's not great that Ruben Hippolyte left early. Also, there was no TJ Edwards or Dominique Robinson, but both left early on Tuesday. So next week's going to be big. Next week's going to be huge to see who is out there because Ruben Hippolyte, if TJ Edwards isn't out there, you're like, well, Ruben could be your Sam. And then you have Noah Sewell as a linebacker, right? But if both, we just have to see what these injuries are. We're starting to see these injuries kind of mount up. And I don't know if I said this on the show, but I was talking to one of my friends who's a Lions fan. And Lions always have injuries and, is part of it because just how physical the teams are, right? Lions always get injured. And right now we're seeing those injuries tick up. I'm not blaming that stuff. I'm just bringing this up as a potential as to why we have so many injuries right now. But then next, more reps for DJ Moore in the backfield because there's no running backs out there. So literally DJ was getting a lot of touches in the backfield because right now we don't really have a running back. Also, as we look at the practice squad too, you look at the practice squad and we just have Britton Brown. So unfortunately, no Ian Wheeler, but Britton Brown was pretty good out there, but still, we really don't have any running backs. So my guess is that the day of, we're going to see Britton Brown get elevated, and then we'll probably see Tano Passanio end up getting elevated as well. But the only other updates from that too, let me just see if there's anything else. Practice ended with a one-play 4th down situation where Williams beat the blitz and threw it over to DJ Moore. And from what I heard too, Bears were going crazy. So if you want to end on a high note, that's a big high note. Also, Karana Magaji getting reps with the guards as well. So now, let's get into this 53-man rotation and the 53-man update. Now, like we were talking about, defensive ends, very, very scarce. We'll have to see kind of the lay of the land with some of the injuries, especially to that linebacker position. But right now, the only other kind of changes that they've made was at the linebacker position where you have Tremaine Edmonds, TJ Edwards, Ruben Hippolyte, Noah Sewell, and the new DeMarco Jackson, who has some experience under the Dennis Allen system, and he replaced Carl Jones. Yet again, I've said this, not a huge fan of Carl Jones. I was a little bit surprised. He was more of a special teamer, though, and with Amen Agbangbamiga on IR, that's probably why they want to bring him in as well. Other players, too, like at the defensive back position, the Bears also brought in Jalen Jones, someone that has some corner experience, has been an okay corner, but also was a very good special teamer. So the Bears bringing him back in to get them some special teams reps. But if we go over to the offensive side of the football, Devin Duvernay is back on the roster after a brief release and then signing back to the roster. So the wide receivers are back to normal. Tight ends are back to normal. Quarterbacks back to normal. Running backs, it's just DeAndre Swift right now. That's healthy. But hopefully Kyle Monangai will be back, because to me, Kyle Monangai is someone that I started suggesting to all my friends to draft that aren't Bears fans. And they're like, what should I do? Kyle Monangai? I'm like, yep, just draft him. Like, I think that there's some potential still there. So that's really the Bears roster right now. Kind of some turmoil going on. Let me see what y'all are saying out there in the comments. We got 6% saying happy that Parsons got traded to the Packers. 31% saying not scared. 44% saying nervous. And 19% of you all saying scared. Let's see what y'all are saying too out there. Let me kind of go through this. Did Shamar Turner play in preseason? I do not believe he did. But yeah, he just started. Yeah, just like what Broski was saying, just started practicing last week to get out there with his ankle injury. So also too, a little bit of updates as well on that injury front. Looks like Kyler Gordon, like all indications point to Kyler Gordon being there week 1. So at least he should be out there. You know, we have to kind of say a little prayer for Jalen Johnson. Hopefully Jalen can be out there at the outside corner, because to me, it's going to be the defensive ends are going to have to do a lot. And I mean, hey, the interior pressure, that's good. That's still how you have to get to JJ McCarthy, because they still have phenomenal tackles. The interior is going to be where you're going to need to attack, because those tackles are phenomenally good. So yeah, Jervon and Grady, they're going to be having their hands full. But still, I mean, when you have Chris Williams and Andrew Billings as backups, I like that. Yeah, like Billings is the man. So you know Billings is going to do Billings types of things. But yeah, having Shamar Turner back there, I still stand by, like, man, I really wanted Turner to be a defensive end. I think that he would be a perfect defensive end. I think he'd be a great defensive end. So what do I know? But yeah, that's my feeling. I think we're going to see a lot of blitzes is going to be the big thing. Lots of blitzes, so a lot of good coverage. Make sure to just double Justin Jefferson, and that's where having Jalen would be huge. You could send the house, and man, hopefully get to him. But yeah, Jalen, still no official sign. We'll start to see it next week, though, at least. But next show, I think we'll start to do our award show. I know that we, one of my favorite shows that we do on this show is that we will break down who we think is going to be the player of the year. And then we're going to throw in some extra fun little awards too. Might have to create a new category too, just because I've done the same category since the start of the show. I might have to start switching some of these up because, yeah, I agree. like, broski, it is one of my favorite shows. I do love it just because we just have fun with it and just kind of start doing this. So, yeah, I'm really excited I might have to come up with a new category, but a lot of the same categories we'll kind of keep out there. And we'll just do our predictions and other things like that. So make sure to stay tuned. Make sure to hit that subscribe button if you're out there on YouTube. Hit the notification bell too, because I usually go live at 8 o'clock, but man, my schedule can be sporadic. So make sure to hit that notification bell just for the sake of that. And then also download the podcast. That will always come out at the same time. So make sure to download it there. And with that, thank you all so much. And with that Unbearable Sports Podcast, we are out.
Yeah, she's got some nice long hair and you know